if we move on to
Yeah.
so this actually ties in with it. Fans returning to stadiums. So could we see? Are we going to
Um,
see fans at the World Cup, or potentially, or are we going to see fans? When would you think we'll see fans return to stadiums in general?
it's not a football question, is it? That's the issue. It's a public health question. But I've seen this weekend in New Zealand. Obviously, they've done really well defeating COVID-19 for now, anyway. And they've just allowed rugby games to take place with crowds, with stadiums full there. So I don't think we're that far away from seeing stadiums back full.
But obviously,
It depends on totally. It's an individual country thing, isn't it?
but in terms of football, though, so like when we move out into government have already said in England, it'll move out into a country lockdown and move more into local lockdowns as such. And let's say if your team is playing at home or away, but the team you're playing against is in a local lockdown, will the game go on? Well, obviously, because that puts the home team in a massive disadvantage because they've played the away leg with fans there, but you're playing the home leg with no one there, so there's a massive change of scenery for
Yeah,
a 2 week, 3 week period. Whereas the
it's
week
a huge
before,
issue, isn't it?
I just don't see how will fans be allowed to go if it's a local lockdown? Will the game be allowed to commence if it's a local lockdown? How would it? How would that work?
It all depends on finding a treatment in vaccines for it, doesn't it? Because, like you say, you can't. If it's a local lockdown in an area, you can't have a game going on. It's not as simple as, oh yeah, we'll just move it to another stadium, because then you've got an issue of fans will still travel out of a lockdown area. You've got an issue of saying, well, where's the integrity in the competition? If you played the other game at home or an away venue, then this game needs to be played at the other venue. Otherwise, you've got a mismatch there, and it's not fair. It's all about a fair competition, isn't it, for all?
It is, but
And
it's
it's
not
just not
really
possible
fair.
to achieve, I don't think.
It's not. So it's not really fair, obviously, if 2 weeks ago you're playing a team, no local lockdown, it's fine. But you go 2 weeks later, someone's got COVID, and you have to be put into a lockdown, and you can't have your own fans there. I think that game
Yeah,
should be postponed. Well, it should be because obviously
yeah.
it's in a local lockdown, so it should. The right thing would be to that game should be postponed rather than played or moved to a different location.
You've got a thing where um, if you postpone the game, though, you then got that fixture backing up.
You have. I mean, obviously the football is going to suffer massively already with fixture congestion. It's
Yeah,
just going
which
to
we've already touched on.
it's going to build up even more when it moves more to local lockdowns compared to a countrywide lockdown.
I think, I mean, I've seen there was something that came out today and yesterday in the press. So there was a friendly that took place between Spurs and Norwich. Not sure if you've seen this, but one of the Norwich players, I believe, has tested positive after the game for coronavirus.
Oh, no, I've not seen
And
this.
there
I've
was a
seen
question.
Stoke though.
So there was a question of whether now do the Spurs players have to self-isolate now, and where does that leave it? But the government's definition of someone being in close contact is them being within 2 meters for 15 minutes or longer. And they did a statistical analysis of the game, easy for me to say, and they found that each player had only been in contact with this player during the game for 39 seconds. So it
Wow,
didn't count under the definition as close contact, so no one's got to self-isolate.
that's ridiculous. That's
And
mad.
it's just like, what? So you need to You need to literally stand next to someone and have them spitting at you for 15 minutes for it to be considered contact, and that you've got to isolate. It's just bonkers.
But have you seen the Spurs thing? Because not Spurs, the Stoke thing. Sorry, because Stoke was meant to play Manchester United, but it got postponed because their manager contracted COVID. But yesterday, which is like 4 days later, Derby played Stoke.
Was he there?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he had COVID symptoms or if he tested positive, but the game got postponed. But Derby played Stoke yesterday.
I don't know what's going on. There's something going on, isn't there, that they're getting out of it.
But the government is just madly inconsistent. Madly.
It's very strange. But I mean, there's been questions ever since the beginning of kind of crowds in sporting competitions going ahead, and like from the Cheltenham races right at the start, and you got the Liverpool Atletico game.
Yeah.
When the day before that game, Madrid went into lockdown, but they were still allowed to, the fans were still allowed to come and travel.
Ridiculous.
A lot of questions need to be answered.
Yeah.
And I think we're still a long way off from domestic football.
Saying we're a long way off, though, the government have just released that if you're a single person or have a single parent, you can still go and create a bubble. So with that making progression, would it be too soon still to bring fans back in September for the start of the new season?
Well, I mean, you've now got obviously the support bubble, which you mentioned, but you've also got in football training, the FA's released guidance where you can have a full team training. So this is grassroots.
Yeah, I've seen grassroots are allowed, which I think is bizarre that grassroots are allowed to go back, yet they've not opened schools for everybody.
So what it is, one manager can train a whole squad as long as it's split up into groups of 6 players, and those 6 players are 2 meters away, and each group of 6 is like a fair distance away, so they don't mix between the groups. But that one coach is allowed to coach between the groups, and the parents that are there also have to isolate away from the group, but because of safeguarding and things like that, they have to be within viewing distance so they can still view the group. But then that's surely not right, because it's literally groups of different households coming together.
It just goes against. It's so shocking that grassroots football can return this soon. And what's astonishing is parents are okay to send the kids to go and play football, but the idea of sending them to school is astonishing. And they can't.
Yeah,
they're baffled at the fact that they're allowed to go back to school, yet they're allowing them to go and play football.
I think we're a long way off from competitions taking place in contact football, but it just doesn't seem right. It seems bending the rule.
So would you say then September is too optimistic to be bringing fans back? Because a lot of fans are paying for season tickets for next year. I am. So I pay mine in a monthly direct debit, obviously, and along many other fans. I've already started paying for my season ticket for next season. Do I get my hopes up to go and watch it, or I'm just going to be told I can't go?
It depends on the level of football. Premier League, Championship, yeah, they'll be starting. If they don't start on time in August, definitely be starting in September. Fans in stadiums, probably not, to be honest. I don't think we'll see fans in stadiums this year. I don't
really?
Think.
What, all the way up
2021?
Really?
Yeah.
So obviously another thing of that is, if you pay for your season ticket, are fans gonna want the money back, or are they gonna want to be able to watch the game for free, as long as obviously they carry on paying the monthly subscription as terms of the season ticket? But obviously with Rams TV, that's £10, £15 a month. whereas my season ticket cost me $25 a month.
But then if you're going back to the start of the pandemic, the scientific advice was saying that actually the virus doesn't transmit very well in big crowds. It's not that's not an issue. But has that advice now changed? Because we're not allowing fans in stadiums now and things like that. We can't have these groups of people. I think it has, to be honest. I think they was treating it more like the influenza, the flu, before, where
I think we'll see fans back in stadiums as home fans before away fans.
See, that's the thing, though. Is that going to happen?
Well, I mean,
how can you say that home fans?
No, because it's bringing in from a different area, isn't it? The country. So it goes back again to the local lockdown situation, doesn't it? Whereas, like, let's say for example, if Derby playing Millwall next week, if Derby's in a local lockdown, Derby shouldn't be allowed to travel to Millwall to play. But
I won't travel to Millwall anyway.
But it will be, because it's football and people demand football and they see it as something above everything.
Yeah. September's too early, I think. But I mean, even so, with the Premier League and Championship, I think they'll start on time with their seasons. Whether fans go back, probably not. League One and League Two, it's hard to say, isn't it? Really, I mean, the National League has apparently said to their clubs, they're expecting September at the earliest, probably, to start playing again. But then you're going down, you're going from elite football and professional footballers down to kind of just people playing recreationally, amateur football, semi-pro football, aren't you? And obviously, the lower you go down, the more players you've got. And is there really, the money goes down, so that's not kind of an issue.
Obviously, a lot of football clubs rely on the fans though coming in still, don't they, to pay the players' wages.
But then the lower down you also go, you've not got seated stadiums, have you? These grounds.
True.
They're never really at full capacity anyway. If you've got a ground that can hold probably 800 people and you're getting 350 fans a game, you've probably got that space around the ground to
be able to socially distance
people. But then as soon as someone scores, everyone's going to rush forward.
Exactly. That's what I mean about the away fans. Like, being at an away game is so different to being at a home game. If you're at a home game, you normally just stand up and start cheering. Whereas if you're in an away game, you score, you're jumping on somebody in front of you, don't know who they are, because it's just so much better to score at an away game.
You're probably more at risk of getting hit by a flying chair or something than COVID, to be honest. But it's...
Well, a fact about a chair. I went to Rotherham away last season, and we conceded, and somebody ripped the chair off and threw it down the stand, and it hit a girl on the back. No, it hit a woman on the back of the head, and it caused a fight literally right next to me and my friend Max. Like, honestly, it was ridiculous.
It's like, why do you feel the need to rip up a chair, throw it at somebody?
And he just frisbeed it, and you could see I watched him do it. I was like, it was like the time just went really slow. Like, oh my god, there's nothing we can do to help warn the people below us that a chair is going to be flying at your head. And you could tell he regretted it as soon as he threw it. It was like, oh no. And people were looking at us lot thinking it was you, but there was a guy getting beat up next to us who was the person who threw it. Like, people were beating him up because he threw the thingy. And he got kicked out.
Oh, I should hope so. Doing that to your own fans. I mean, it'd be alright if you lobbed it into the home end, but...
It wouldn't be alright, but... I still think people would have kicked off at the home end and the away end.
Well, it's bound to get you ejected, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you get ejected for just recording the game nowadays, don't you? Without permission to video it.
Well, that's right, to be honest. Sky Sports pay millions.
Yeah.
They don't want amateur video. Anyway, That's going to be beside the point. What protocol should be put in place for the return of fans? We've kind of already answered that. I think you've got enough capacity for testing and things like that. You can have temperature checks outside the ground.
But if the track and trace system goes on, I mean, if someone catches it, do they alert the club and the club send their texts out to 30-odd thousand people to make sure to see if you're in contact with them?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? If you're going by the definition of the government, you're
Go to
probably only
Durham.
going to be in contact. Yeah, exactly. Durham away. You're probably only going to be in close contact with a few people, but it's those people that are then in close contact with another person and another person and another person. So it's really hard, and that's why I don't think it'll come back this year. I think you've got to have a proper. There's no actual treatment.
But is it
Specific
fair
treatment
though
for
to
it,
have
yeah.
fans in the stadium for half of the season and then bring them in for the second half? Could you say that's fair? Or
We talked a bit about this in the first episode.
Exactly, or would you say the best thing to do is just leave fans out completely for the whole year?
Yeah, but then you go back to the issue of income, don't you, and money.
So
I don't think there is an impact of fans being in the stadium on the team and the players, but I don't think it's enough for an argument to say that if half of the season is played with them not there and half of them played is there, it makes a difference. I don't think it really does.
they'll scrap it for a year and we'll have a crowd noise in the stadium instead.
Well, I saw something.
Is it what Ben
there was
Foster
a
puts
friendly.
up by any chance?
Yes, exactly that. That's what I'm talking about. So there was Ben Foster. Ben Foster said there was what was the team?
If we can find the tweet, we'll put it up on the screen as well so you can read it. But
So-
the tweet was we was playing a friendly game again. I think it was the A and the B team, and one of the coaching staff was refereeing, and apparently it was awful. And they put the crowd noise saying the referee's a wanker all around.
was playing that in the stadium.
Hopefully we can find the tweet. We can put the tweet on. But honestly, it's hilarious.
That was brilliant.
Oh dear.
Authentic.
Right then.
So yeah,
if we move
to
on,
summarise, when will fans be returning to the stadium? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. So the clickbait title, you had to wait 15 or 20 minutes to listen to us say, nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Right. So let's move on to the championship. So big thing in the championship, and I can see it happening even more with what's happening, is bringing in a wage cap.